Imagine sitting down for dinner, but instead of worrying about calories or carbs, you're wondering if this meal might actually kill you. No refrigerators. No food safety inspections. No understanding of bacteria or germs. Welcome to the Middle Ages, where every bite could be a risk. When we think about medieval times, we picture castles, knights, and grand feasts. But the reality of medieval food was far darker. For most people, meals were basic, poorly preserved, and often contaminated. And without modern medicine, even a simple case of food poisoning could turn deadly. The biggest danger was something no one could see. People in medieval Europe had no idea bacteria existed. Germ theory wouldn't become widely accepted until the 1800s. So if meat smelled a little off or bread looked slightly strange, it was often eaten anyway. There was no concept of microscopic organisms multiplying in warm, damp food. In warmer months, especially, food spoiled quickly. Meat could rot within hours. Wealthy households used heavy spices like pepper, cinnamon, and cloves, not because medieval food was always bland, but often to mask the taste and smell of meat that wasn't fresh. Spices didn't make food safe. They just covered the warning signs. For peasants, fresh meat was rare. Most relied on salted pork, dried fish, or preserved meats. Salting and smoking could help preserve food, but only if done correctly. If the salt levels were too low or the meat wasn't dried fully, bacteria thrived. And in times of famine, people sometimes ate animals that had died from illness. Hunger left little room for caution. Food poisoning in medieval times wasn't just an uncomfortable inconvenience. Severe vomiting and diarrhea caused dehydration. Without IV fluids, antibiotics, or proper medical knowledge, dehydration alone could kill especially children, the elderly, or anyone already weak from malnutrition. And then there was bread. Bread was the foundation of the medieval diet. But even bread could be dangerous. Rye bread, commonly eaten by peasants, was sometimes contaminated with a fungus called ergot. This fungus caused a condition known as ergotism, sometimes called St. Anthony's fire. Symptoms included severe hallucinations, burning sensations in the limbs, muscle spasms, and even gangrene. In extreme cases, fingers and toes could blacken and fall off due to restricted blood flow. Entire villages were affected during outbreaks. People had no idea the bread itself was poisoning them. Water wasn't safe either. Rivers and wells were easily contaminated with human and animal waste. Without sewage systems, waste often flowed into the same water sources people drank from. Boiling water wasn't common practice because the link between contaminated water and disease wasn't understood. As a result, diseases like dysentery and cholera spread quickly. Drinking what seemed like normal water could trigger severe diarrhea and dehydration. In crowded medieval cities, outbreaks moved fast, and survival was far from guaranteed. Milk and dairy products posed another risk. Without refrigeration, milk spoiled quickly. Cheese and butter could become contaminated. Unpasteurized dairy carried bacteria that could cause serious illness. Again, people didn't understand the invisible dangers lurking in everyday foods. Even feasts weren't safe. We imagine grand medieval banquets with roasted meats and overflowing tables. But large gatherings increased risk. Food prepared in massive quantities sat out for hours. Kitchens lacked sanitation standards. Cooks didn't wash hands in the modern sense, and cross-contamination was common. Raw meat might be handled, then bread or vegetables, without any cleaning in between. Foodborne illness could spread rapidly among nobles and peasants alike. Parasites were another hidden threat. Undercooked pork could carry tapeworms. Contaminated food could transmit roundworms. Without proper cooking temperatures or medical treatments, parasitic infections became long-term health problems. People lived with chronic stomach pain, weakness, and malnutrition caused by organisms inside their own bodies. Preservation methods themselves could also cause harm. Salting food heavily helped it last longer, but it led to extremely high sodium intake. Over time, excessive salt contributed to kidney strain and other health problems. Smoking meat over open fires introduced carcinogens. While people didn't know the long-term risks, constant exposure to smoke and preserved foods wasn't harmless. And let's not forget famine. Crop failures were common due to harsh winters, flooding, or disease. During famines, people ate whatever they could find: spoiled grain, moldy bread, even grass or tree bark. Desperation lowered standards even further. When survival depends on eating something, anything food safety becomes secondary. Malnutrition weakened immune systems. A body already starved of nutrients couldn't fight off infections effectively. So when contaminated food entered the picture, survival odds dropped dramatically. Ironically, wealth didn't always guarantee safety. While nobles had access to better ingredients and spices, they also consumed large amounts of rich meat and alcohol. Overeating and lack of nutritional balance led to gout and other diseases. Food stored in castle cellars could still spoil. Hygiene inside, even the grandest kitchens, was far from modern standards. There were no expiration dates, no thermometers, no refrigeration, no public health departments inspecting storage conditions. Medieval people relied on sight, smell, and taste to judge food safety. But many deadly pathogens don't change the appearance or smell of food in obvious ways. Something could look completely fine and still carry enough bacteria to cause severe illness. Medical treatment offered little help. Physicians believed in the theory of the four humors: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Illness was thought to result from imbalance, not contamination. Treatments often involved bloodletting or herbal mixtures, which rarely addressed the true cause. If you developed severe food poisoning, your survival depended on luck, strength, and hydration, not effective medicine. Child mortality rates were high in the Middle Ages, and contaminated food played a role. Young children were especially vulnerable to dehydration and infection. What today might mean a few miserable days at home could then become a fatal event. Even everyday cooking tools contributed to risk. Wooden cutting boards and utensils absorbed moisture and bacteria. Cleaning methods were basic, usually just rinsing with water. Soap was not widely used in food preparation. Kitchens were often shared with animals, especially in poorer households. So when you imagine medieval meals, thick bread, salted meat, stew bubbling over a fire, remember this: behind every plate was uncertainty. Every bite carried invisible dangers. It wasn't that people didn't care about safety. They simply didn't understand what was happening at a microscopic level. They worked with the knowledge they had. Preservation techniques like salting, drying, and fermenting were actually impressive for the time. But without scientific understanding, risk was unavoidable. Today, We worry about artificial additives or processed foods. Medieval people worried about surviving until tomorrow. Modern refrigeration, pasteurization, sanitation laws, and antibiotics have transformed food from a daily gamble into something we largely take for granted. We complain if milk expires tomorrow. In the Middle Ages, people hoped their dinner wouldn't send them into fatal dehydration by morning. So could you survive medieval meals for 3 days? Maybe. But you'd be rolling the dice every time you sat down to eat. And the scariest part? You wouldn't even know what was killing you.